Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of ConnectWise Event Certified Integrator Series. Today, we are going to get into talking to some long-term story companies that have been involved in our ecosystem for quite some time with CyberFOX and getKambium. I am Sean Lardo. I am the ConnectWise Economy Evangelist. Also, I run our Pitch It program, so I have intimate involvement with especially getKambium, and we'll talk about that as we have them on. But also keep in mind, as you're watching this, the chat is live. You can ask whatever questions you'd like of the vendors. I definitely encourage you to do so. We want you to have an experience that you can get things answered that you may not have a chance to provoke from any other time. So take advantage of that. Take advantage of the fact that they're in this. They are willing to answer just about anything, especially Andrew. He'll answer anything, I'm sure. But yes, looking forward to this episode. It should be very informative for all of you. Very excited, especially because we're right around the corner from IT Nation Connect in November. And you'll be able to see these guys there too. They are sponsoring booths, but it'd be great if we can get you guys started watching them, getting connected with them, and then getting your questions answered as you can now. So that way, when you see them at IT Nation Connect, you're basically having them buy you a drink and closing business with them. So, without further ado, I want to get this started and get these guys interviewed so you can learn more about them and their companies. So we're going to start first with my good friend Andrew from getKambium. So let's get him up. Hey, Andrew, what's up, dude?
Good, Sean. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are things going on your side of the world?
Well, we're rolling into spring on our side of the world. So the sun's starting to shine, the clouds are starting to lift. We're getting out into the great outdoors and the water, and looking forward to a fantastic summer. But of course, we're going to start off by coming across to sunny Florida and IT Nation Connect in must only about 20 odd days, I guess, from now.
Yes, November 8th is right around the corner, man. Like literally, we're talking. And the thing is, with that, for us, it's crunch time, right? We're trying to get everything prepared. I'm on the road now. Actually, I'm in Atlanta right now for Channel Pro conference, which is why I'm broadcasting from a lobby of a hotel because being in the room is depressing. Let's be honest, just sitting there by yourself. So, yeah, give me some activity. But yes, this is crunch time for us, and we're super stoked to start to see you guys there. You guys are very, and I'll give you credit, man. I don't know how you do it, how you stay so involved in ConnectWise, being from all the way over on the other side of the world. You're still here in North America somehow doing stuff. So, kudos to you.
Oh, cheers for that. Yeah, it's always good coming across and visiting the United States. But as with anyone who travels, including yourself, I know you're always on the road. There's nothing like being home. Your favorite trip is that one home.
Yes.
It's part of
Absolutely.
the world.
Yeah. Absolutely. So let's talk about you a little bit here. Let's talk about what's getKambium.
So getKambium is an initiative that sprang. So I still have my MSP. I mean, it's interesting in event how many of the solutions have come from MSPs who've sat there and seen a problem in their business and have then gone on to solve it and to share that solution. We're no different. I've still got my MSP business. I'm not actively involved anymore. These days I'm actively involved in getKambium. So our MSP's got about 40 staff across 2 cities. And the challenge that we had as an MSP was trying to help our sales team to have business conversations. We found that our customers were saying to us, I don't want to talk tech. If you were talking tech in a say, QBR to a customer or on a strategy meeting to a customer, they didn't want to know about it. We'd go in there and we'd say, the servers are old, the internet's too slow, the wireless points are last year's version, the cybersecurity is no good. And we were talking about life from the way we saw it. And our customers, the tech people and customers, they get it. But the people we tend to talk to tend to be the accountants, the CFOs, line managers, operations managers, CEOs. And they were saying, actually, I've got a business problem to solve here. I really care about achieving my goals for the quarter. I need to get my revenue target. I need to get this new product to market. I need to streamline this business process. I need to mitigate this risk. I need to get these things done. How are you helping me with that? And the challenge was for a lot of our sales team was they didn't have that conversation. Our technical people went, but your server needs replacing. You need to move that up to AWS or to Azure. The customers don't really get that. They wanted us to understand what they wanted to achieve and show them how we could help them with technology. So we had to help our sales team to change the conversation and help our technical team to understand that the customers weren't buying IT because we said they needed it. That was kind of the end of the discussion. They're buying IT firstly because they had a problem to solve. And if we didn't understand that problem and if we couldn't replay it back to the customer, then we had a problem. So that was the challenge we set out to solve, is how do you get a facing business who sees why, we're wired to see wires. We do the nuts and bolts. How do we our conversation to talk business with a customer? And because as in it's the RMM tools, we've invested in PSA tools, we get systems. There had to be a systematic way of doing this repeatedly and scalably so that everyone did it the best that we possibly could as a team. So that's what getKambium is about. It's about taking the strategic sales process that you learn about, by the way, at Connect. Come to Connect, you go to the various breakouts, there's people standing there who are sales experts, and they'll tell you, hey, go and ask the right questions, go and understand what the customer wants to achieve, and then show them how you can do that. That was the challenge. How do you do that? That's what getKambium does. It makes it super easy for an MSP to go and ask the right questions all day, every day to customers, and to have a business conversation, then say, okay, so here's my technology stack. These are the things that we can do to help you achieve those business goals. Here now is your technology roadmap. Let's check in with that every quarter. Let's make sure we're delivering the value that you expect. And that, Sean, is what people like Paul Dipple from Service Leadership say in their reports. It's what CompTIA say in their latest papers. It's what the experts are telling us, is we've got to stop talking tech and start talking business.
Absolutely. So, okay. So let's back this up then. Yes. So you were in the pitch it competition the last 2 years, and you said something that's spot on as far as, and this was true to form with Pitch It, that over 60-70% of the vendors that were competing were or are currently MSPs, which you're amongst them. And they usually have built a platform or a product or a service or whatever it may be to solve their own unique problem. And then they realize, oh, other people need this too. So with that, I think that's something I want to touch on real quick. And you did this, you're part of our Evolve peer group as an MSP, and you started sharing this.
You're exactly right. They're to blame, actually, is Evolve. So for those who are on this program, on this live stream, who know Evolve, I'm sure that you know how good it is. But for those who don't, my gosh, you should sign up for that. Although there are some problems, because one of the ideas of Evolve is this go-giver idea that you go there and you share something, which is great. But when you share it and people go, crikey, could you turn that up a notch? You then find yourself investing in a startup software business to try and take your IP out to the world. That's a whole other kettle of fish. And so I'm grateful to the team at ConnectWise for making it easier for us for programs like Pitch It. And
right.
I'm thankful for your support with that, because it's actually a big deal to try and take something to market and learn about how to, how not to sell to your customers, how to sell to other MSPs, and how to share your vision and your ideas. It's not easy.
I think the important thing behind it all, though, is you relied on your network and your relationships, but you're solving for a problem that we know to be true, which is all these vendors, or all these MSPs rather, struggling with how to speak English to English translation, how to properly talk about the business case solution, business case to use case. That's the conversation there.
That's exactly right. Even now we find we're talking to MSPs and saying, hey, I want a QBR solution. That's fantastic. But the key thing in QBR is quarterly business review. It's not quarterly tech review. There are many good technology operational dashboards, and we use them in our MSP. We have a technology operational dashboard. We go and say, hey, here's how we're closing tickets, and here's how the backups are run, and here's how the main virus anymore. Here's how the MDR is performing, and the number of hits on the firewall. And here's your licensing, and these machines are getting old and cranky and whatever else. That's the operational dashboard, and that's the conversation that you kind of have with it's a very transactional conversation. But the conversation that gets you talking to the CEO is the one that says, we're opening a new factory, or we're trying to take a new product to market, or we've got this real problem back in whichever part of the business, logistics, administration, accounting, finance, whatever, that's slowing us down, and technology can solve that. And the reality is that the number of buyers of technical solutions these days, and I think it was in the CompTIA report, it might have been Canales, actually, who said it. The more tech buyers today are not, people buying IT today are not the CTO or the CIO. They're a line manager. They're somebody buying a cloud solution to solve a business problem. And our customers have got more IT than they've ever had. Our job is to help them make sure it's integrated, secure, doing the job that they need it to do, that they know where their data is, their data privacy policies are correct, they are conforming to their stakeholder obligations for various legislation that they are bound to, particularly privacy. If that's the conversation our customers want to have, and if they're not having it with their MSP, then they're having it with somebody else. And so their trusted IT advisor is whoever they're having that conversation with. Well, hey, MSPs, don't you want that to be us? Of course, we want it to be us. So we've got to lift our game and have that business conversation. How do you do that? It's so different to what we've done before, but our world's always been changing. So change is cool.
I couldn't agree more. So we're gonna kick you back into the green room and bring on the other guy. You hang tight there and we'll bring you both on for a conversation about everything that's awesome about Sean and IT Nation Connect too. So
That won't take long.
it'll be a short conversation. So yeah, we'll throw you back there and let's get the other guest up. Be right back, Andrew. Hang tight. So coming up next, you know what? My back, Jess Kane is in the back green room and she is so spot on. She's so much more prepared than I am. She's ready for you already. But Bill Morgan from CyberFOX, Director of Technical Sales Enablement. That's such a long title, dude. What's up with you?
I know, right? It does help. Sometimes I drop the enablement off the bottom just to make it a little bit shorter. But it's all things like I worked at ConnectWise for 10 years, and I was the director of sales engineering for ConnectWise, and that's sort of it's more than engineering now. It's like that role has evolved into more of like how do we enable our sales teams to do their jobs faster, better, more efficient. How do we? It's training and education. It's competitive intel. It's about learning the ecosystem. It's about obviously how do we do trials and calls and answer technical questions. RFP, RFQ, stuff like that. So it's an everything bucket now, man, and that sort of that encompasses it. It's a big
I get
name,
it. I get
It's a
well.
big name.
I did enablement for a long time. I did channel marketing, sales enablement, so I totally get it. And what I
Yeah.
think I found out is enablement is kind of it's an overlay of like operations, the actual sales job, the actual marketing job, and engineering. It's all in one, and then whatever else you can think, whatever else they can slap on there too for your responsibilities. So, you're like the jack of all trades, master at zero.
Right.
I mean, really, it's just, but you know what though, it's essential. It really is essential, right?
Yeah.
It's a good way to connect the dots between all different groups. So I appreciate that. So yeah, so you're a busy guy doing a lot of things. So let's talk about what you guys do. What is CyberFOX?
All right, so a little bit of backstory on CyberFOX is our founder and co-founder and the team, investment team and stuff that started this company. It started with an acquisition, and the CEO is David Bellini. So anybody who works at ConnectWise knows that name, right? He's a co-founder of ConnectWise. Our other co-founder is Adam Slutskin, who was the chief resource officer for ConnectWise for many, many, many moons. Actually, he's the one who brought me over there way back in 2009, 2010, something like that.
Nice.
And then Drew, Arnie, a little bit of an investment there. So the founding fathers, so to speak, of CyberFOX are taking a different tact and putting together more of a security company. And cybersecurity is hot, man. It's the talk of the town.
Oh my Lord, yes. It's the sexiest topic alive. And everybody loves talking about, but nobody knows what to do with it.
Yeah, well, I think it's interesting because a lot of the terms and things that we hear in the organization and that we hear bandied about amongst ourselves and our organizations and stuff like that are relatively either just coming back to the forefront from way back in the 90s, or they're just new terms that people are making up. Like I heard another one the other day, ZSP, and I'm like, what's that? Zero standing privilege. And I like never heard that. And so
I,
now I mean, I know what it is, I know what it does, and I understand it, but I like never actually heard the term. There's so many terms and acronyms in IT that it does make it a challenge, and cybersecurity is littered with them. And so, what we decided to do was we're going to try to simplify security and deliver a really good product, a really good experience from people that have been in the industry a long time. Arnie and David, they still own their MSP. It's literally on the other side of that board right there. Like the guys are sitting over there working right now
nice.
on the other side of that wall. So we get it, and we've done this before. We did it with ConnectWise, and now we started this new company. It started with the acquisition of a company called PasswordBoss. Brand recognition is important. That's been out there for a long time. So for those PasswordBoss folks that are familiar, we own that now. And
Nice.
the other product that we bought recently, about a year and a half ago, was Auto Elevate, which is an elevation tool, PAM tool. And so those are the two solutions we currently offer in the space, and they
Okay.
both integrate with ConnectWise.
So let's talk about that real quick. Why you're buying these? What's the end goal for this? Because again, you talk about cybersecurity being the Wild West, which we know it is,
Mm-hmm.
and depending on who you ask, depending on who you ask, they will tell you what cybersecurity is to them specifically, and the layer that they make up, and they'll say that, and it's always the same buzzwords too, by the way, and that's the challenge, right?
It
You know
is.
what do you do, Bill? Well, we protect your data
Mm-hmm.
and you. Okay, great. The question always comes down to how. Right.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
what is the intent of you guys? Why the acquisitions? What is the goal for you all to become as you do this?
Yeah, so we're focused on some of the key areas of cybersecurity, and what we're trying to do is base this off of the framework. So something that everybody's using, there's a lot of people use NIST or ISO 27001 or CIS controls or whatever your particular cyber essentials in the UK, stuff like that. So what we're trying to do is like, let's look at a framework. And we started collecting some solutions that essentially fit very well and very nicely into that framework. So if I always looked at security in sort of these big concentric circles around the computer itself, right? So your outer layer of security, the opening ring, is the most dominating thing that's attacking the computer. Those are your phishing attacks and your
Mm-hmm.
emails, and hey, your UPS shipment's not going to be delivered unless you give me your info. Like those things, right? Those are banging on the outside. And then the next layer of that is your privilege management and your password management. Like those are the two things. One, if you get past the phishing thing and you're clicking on stuff, they're trying to get your password, they're trying to compromise your credentials, and they're trying to use privilege so that they can essentially move laterally throughout the organization and do their dirty work, right?
Right.
So but like those are two really big fundamental areas of security where like we can do that. And then we're going to expand into some other more important areas. DNS is going to be an important one, and
Mm-hmm.
education, right? Like security awareness training and stuff like that. So those are some future like
Really?
expansion for CyberFOX. Yeah, we
Hmm.
want to educate. Man, we got to educate. We done a bunch of focus groups with a lot of MSPs. I got to tell you, man, the number one challenge that every MSP came back with was educating my clients.
I can imagine. Yes. I mean, I could. Well, so and actually, you know what? We're going to segue that. We're going to pause on that. We're going to
Hmm.
bring Andrew back on because I think this is a conversation we should have together,
Okay.
considering what they do. Um,
Yeah.
So, Andrew, have you been paying attention?
I have been paying attention. Yes,
Perfect.
and what I've been thinking about is I've just been having a listen there is that the challenge we have as MSPs is that we're technical folks. So all of the things talking about CyberFOX really make a lot of sense to me, but they don't make a lot of sense to our customer. Exactly the point. What our challenge is to help the customer to understand how, they just trust us, do cybersecurity for us. Or maybe they're not even wanting to invest enough in cybersecurity. Our job is to sit there and understand the business problem they've got. So, hey, I want to get my insurance renewed. I want to try and
Mm-hmm.
get this thing signed off. I'm trying to do due diligence, and I what's the underlying business issue? Because just saying, hey, you're out there in a world that's adverse and there's a bunch of these terrible actors around, they're going to have a crack at your data. For some reason, they seem to think it's going to happen to somebody. They don't see the issue for their own business, and why should their board be signing off on the investment we need them to make? And by the way, the investment we need them to make is twice what it was last year, and it's going to be twice again next year. And they're going to buy technology. Just listening to that roadmap, which sounds really exciting, they've got to be buying solutions next year that don't exist this year. How do we help them to do that? And the answer is they've got to see it from a business point of view,
Yep.
not a technical point of view. We as
But
the
I think,
MSP, the translator.
but don't. Okay. So, but I want to. I'll say this: you're not wrong in anything you said. I think it's in the manner in which you deliver this offer, this solution to the end users to understand. You don't have to teach them. I think far too often, MSPs are talking about the fear behind it, right? And there should be a level of fear because you don't want to get hacked, whatever it may be, right? That's a given. You want to be protected, but that's never what the catalyst of them not doing what they're supposed to do with you is. It's usually because of the lack of the friction that exists in actually another task for an owner to get involved in doing, right? And this is why I wanted to bring you right back on, Andrew, considering what you guys do and what Bill just meant, what he just said is spot on. Was it's not really about having the technology installed or anything of that nature. It's about the extra work to tell the employees what to do, the education behind it. So I feel like when you're talking about selling something to anybody, and exactly what you guys are talking about here on Andrew on your side, which is the English to English translation of conversation, it should be less about the fear of needing this, but the ease of how to implement it instead and educate them.
There's
and
also
do you not agree with that?
There's also a challenge to get them simply to invest the money. So they're sitting there with tightened budgets. You know, the world's economy is in a tough place. They're watching their revenues, they're watching their cost lines, and they're saying, you know, why should we invest in this thing? You keep coming back to me and saying, you know, you've got to reach back into my wallet for more dough. We need to help them understand why that's a good idea, because, you know, these guys are all the same as us, watching their top line, watching their costs, trying to make a buck. And we've got to make sure that we can say, actually, you should be prioritizing this, because it's super important for you to achieve your goals. And cybersecurity is absolutely crucial for them to be investing in. But there's also a massive opportunity for MSPs to be extending how their customers use technology into broad ways, data analytics. For example, e-commerce is how do you make your e-commerce more pervasive? How do you get there and help your customer to achieve their goals? You know, how do you make them invest?
Yep, absolutely. And I wanted to, you know, and to touch on that, Keith actually said something very smart. I'm proud of you, Keith. You know, talking about the fact of the segregating of the stack, right? And it's a fact that every MSP is averaging between 15 and 25 different technologies they use, whether for internally in their business to support their business and run it, or that they're even reselling to their end users, right? That we know is a fact. So, and this ties all in. This, again, the reason I want to bring you back in, because we, you know, one thing that we're big on at ConnectWise is the integrations, right? And certifying you guys as being certified integrators to make sure everything is aligned and secure properly and know that it's actually going to work, right? And that's a big part of the conversation. And as we're going down this path, and Bill, to your point, as you guys are doing your new stuff you're going to do on your roadmap, how important is it and how simple and seamless is it for you guys to integrate and for the MSP not to have to do a lot of extra work? You know, they live and breathe in ConnectWise. We know that, right? That's the core. That's the PSA, the RMM, whatever they're using, right?
Well, hey, look, like the old adage goes, right? If it's not ConnectWise, it didn't happen, right? So,
Yep.
I mean, I've seen that up in people's offices on plaques and posters and stuff like that, like just to drive it home that if it's not in ConnectWise, it didn't happen. And, you know, look, when I was there, that was our life too. If it wasn't there, it just didn't exist. So,
Right.
you know, it's important for us to look at, you know, each one of our tools, for example, and to figure out where does it make the most sense, where is the most value, and what are the things that we need to plug into to make this as seamless as possible. So as a couple of quick examples, Password Boss, for example, you know, we're integrating with the billing. We can pull users in from ConnectWise, so we can easily populate, know who needs to get a password manager and access to the password manager. We can integrate with the billing. So if we're selling this downstream to our end customer, I want to be able to easily bill for that, and I don't want to make it manual labor. Obviously ticketing, right? So if there is an issue or something that needs to be brought up, we can go ahead and generate that ticket easily. So we're looking at where does it make sense to integrate with each type of tool. For Elevation, for example, it goes even further. We actually get into using the pod system in ConnectWise ticketing, so that they can directly answer and disposition directly out of a ConnectWise ticket. So I don't even have to open another GUI or respond anywhere else. I can click a button and go, yep, you can do that. And then the system will go ahead and handle everything else, and I can do it all out of ConnectWise.
That's perfect. And that's the thing, is that integration piece is so important. If I have to duplicate my efforts and logging information, you know, I'm not going to, right? And then Absolutely. We're not going to utilize the products. And that comes back even to you, Andrew, same rules apply, right? So I know you guys have a very
I'm nodding away because I completely agree with what's being said. The challenge, so you know, we're used to dealing with sales teams, and we know that sales teams are quite a different personality type to engineers. They are a little bit less disciplined when it comes to putting in the data, for example. And you can sit there and you can yell at them, hey, if you don't, not in ConnectWise didn't happen, the cows come home, but they're still going to be who they are, and they care about their quota. So, and are they going to get their targets? Are they going to achieve their quota? So what we do, our integration, because we're sort of further, you know, earlier in the cycle, is they go out there and talk to the customer. They uncover opportunities for the customer, and one click save them into ConnectWise as opportunities. And then once they're opportunities, we know when it's likely to happen, we know why it's likely to happen, we know who the decision maker is. Now the business can start to look at the ConnectWise opportunity stack and predict the likely revenues that are coming ahead. And the sales guys can sit there and go, gee, you know, here's how here's what's going to drive my quota achievement. This is the things I've got to do. And they can take that same list, and we do it in our QBR stack, back to the customer and say, here is the roadmap we've agreed. These are the things for this quarter. Let's get on with it. And we can take them out of the ConnectWise opportunity and then prosecute that as business. And we even pull out the SKUs from the product catalog into getKambium, so you can assemble a solution for that and push it into ConnectWise Sell.
Perfect. I think that's extremely important because, again, one of the biggest conversations we have with every MSP, and you guys are in the space, you're an MSP still, is that that ability to be able to get this all done efficiently and automate as much as you can, so you can work on a smaller staff, but all skilled players, not just admin people. If you think about, I can tell you, 15 years ago, I worked at a company, maybe 20 years ago at this point. God, who knows? We'll say 5 years ago, so I seem younger. But I remember looking at like the marketing and sales staff and looking especially at the marketing staff and how large it was. And I asked I was like, wow, hey, but there's a big marketing staff here. And like, well, they're all just basically running reports. That's all they're doing. They're getting aggregated information to report back what's working. They weren't really skill set people. They weren't creating content. They weren't distributing content. They were literally just there to count the beans at the end of the day, right? And that has since changed with automation platforms. And that's an extremely important as you guys path what you're doing.
As MSPs, we try to automate everything. We believe technology is perfect for doing repetitive dull tasks. We shouldn't be repeating data entry. All of that is just, I think it's absolutely given. And the irony is that's true of our customers as well. Our customers need to be more efficient. We need to help them understand how we can apply technology to help them automate their business. And we should be doing exactly the same thing in ours. And sales is as much a process as it is, it's a science as much as it's an art. And so getting that process formulaic into the process, into your system is super important. Salespeople are unicorns. Getting a really great sales head, they're hard to find. If you're trying to recruit one, you're going to find all the good ones really with somebody else, generally a competitor. And so we've got to try and make the team we've got better and more successful. We've got to embed the right process methodology in them so that they can have the conversation with the customer, then goes out and drives opportunities. They can go and buy CyberFOX solutions. They can go out there and buy the various other things that we've got in our stack already.
Yep.
And also we can extend our stack. We can find out what they're asking for and go, crikey, is that a business opportunity for me? Should I be getting into data analytics or Power BI?
That's kind of okay. And I'm thinking this is a good conversation between the three of us, even, or the two of you. You guys should be talking about integration, right? Honestly, there should be every product that exists out there that's not a sales product or a QBR product should be a conversation point within your QBR system. So how, in the perfect world, if I'm the account manager working in your system, and I should be able to see that whatever CyberFOX is providing is not on the list right now for our client, or they need to upgrade, or they need to renew a license, or whatever it may be. I should be able to see if there's a weakness and be able to talk about CyberFOX. So and it's perfect because Bill's the enablement guy, so he should be able to provide the content for you to give to the MSP sales rep, correct?
So we work slightly different. Yeah, we work slightly differently to that. We sit there and say, here's your roadmap. These are the things, these are your business goals, and here's how technology adds to that. In terms of how it's operating, there are operational dashboards for that, but the CEO, your customer, is less interested. Our job is to help them actually break down the wall in the first place to deploy the solution to meet the need. Yep. So that's where we come in. Our QBRs are around, here's how technology is driving your business forward. If you want to get into the operational detail of that, that's a different conversation, generally with a different person and the customer, and there's some great tools for that. Sure. We're not in that space. We're in the space of, here's the roadmap for the customer. How's the MSP delivering to the roadmap? How's the MSP adding value and acting not as technicians, but acting as a true business advisor? Absolutely. And if you're doing a great job of that, then you're going to be taking your stack out to the customer, and you're going to be helping your customer achieve their goals. You're going to be much stickier with your customer. They're going to be referring you to their mates because you actually made a difference to them. It's a bit of that sort of Simon Sinek, start with the why kind of argument.
Absolutely. And Bill, to your point, being an enablement person there, what would you do to help the sales rep to be able to talk about this without being in the weeds?
So interestingly enough, we do this with a lot of our partners where they're like, hey, how do I position this? How do I sell this? Right. So there's a couple things that you can look at in trying to make this an easier job for the sales team. One, you could be of the mind where everything is sort of a line item on your agreement and your bill, and you're sort of trying to sell every single one of those items and get those into the customer, and you're sort of creating a justification for why I want to add each one of these and what they're supposed to do for you. And then there's the other ones that do, that structure a package where, these particular things are just what we do. It's what we offer, and here's how much it costs. And you can either take it or leave it. That's your choice, right? And in a lot of cases, what they'll do is they know they renegotiate their contracts every single year. So what they'll do is they'll say, I'm going to eat this cost now for the next 3 months of the year, right? We're going to show them what this is going to do and how much better it's going to be. And then it's just going to be part of their upgraded. When we talk next year, it's just the price is going to go up a little bit. So we help them understand that dynamic of how do I set up the packages for this, and which camp do I fall in? Do I make this individual items? Do I just lump it all in, right?
Yep.
And then we help them understand. What I like to do is help them understand the dangers in the current environment that we're in right now. And so we use some facts and statistics and some generally available reporting that doesn't come from us. It doesn't come from you. It comes from a third party. Sophos, Verizon, like AT&T, like those guys, the big folks, the people they know. And we're like, hey, do you realize, or let me help educate you that 9 out of 10 successful breaches are because people have administrator access to their machines. And so we need to solve that. And if we can, then potentially 90% of our issues start to go away. Or you have to protect your passwords. You can't stick them on the corner of your monitor right here, and you can't stick them on the keyboard anymore. Like it can't be in the drawer on your desk and stuff. Like you've got to protect
That's weird.
these accounts, because
So
8 out of 10 of those are.
You mean I can't start on day one and have sticky pads all over my desk when I'm getting a new job, and they're like, "Here, Sean, here's the link, here's your password. Go and make sure you change it when you have a moment." And for every platform I have to be in, all 17,000 of them.
Yeah. But so here's a staggering number. So most people between business and personal, and for MSPs it's even more, but you just take the average person, you, me, anybody, right? Not an MSP. You have an average of 106 passwords you have to remember, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you make them all the same, obviously you don't want to do that. That would be really bad to get access to all your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So like you got to have a password manager. And like when you explain it to them in such basic terms, they kind of like, yeah, you're right. We really should do that. So that's what we do, is like we want to deliver some, like, here's some reports you can use. Here's some metrics you can use. Here's some scary statistics that are real. They are scary, but they are real. We're not making this stuff up. Like 9 out of 10 of it happens this way. 8 out of 10 compromises are password compromises. Like,
I agree. And I'm a victim and a culprit all at the same time. I was at one point, at least.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, Keith had mentioned about the reporting piece cannot be overlooked. So when we're talking about the reporting piece, this is for you, Bill, first, how do you help to ensure that everybody is using the password protection they should, creating the unique character? And I use Keeper a lot. I like Keeper. Keeper was great for me, right?
Sure.
And because I remembering 101 passwords is not going to happen, right?
Nope.
And it makes me think immediately of Spaceballs and the luggage combination, right? And
1, 2, 3,
right,
4. Hey, that's my password.
That's what I think of right away. I think everybody does, right? So how do you ensure this? Is there a reporting mechanism or function that so you know that their employees are actually doing what they're supposed to do in this case? Is there a way that this is going to take place? And then that way, again, because this is all about being compliant, right? At the end, it's for compliance, which leads to insurance, which is everybody's trying to get to, right? So do you have the ability to do that with your technology?
We do. So we have a like in many tools, you've probably seen a secure score, like what's your security score? And they might assign a letter or something like that. We have an actual number that we assign to each user. We can tell who the top users are, who the bottom users are. So we can talk to our top users and say, what are you doing that's so successful? Can you help us communicate that to the people who aren't using it maybe as successfully? We're constantly scanning the passwords for complexity, for length of password, for how old is it? Like if you use the same password for the last 5 years, like you got to change that, right? It's going to come up in the security score. We're going to remind you, and we're going to say,
really?
You really need to do that. Yeah. You're like, oh, come on. So like those are the kind of things that we talk about. And I think on the MSP side of things, right, getting a password manager that both the MSP can use for the business side of things, but people can still put their passwords in for the personal side of things, and never shall the two meet, is hugely beneficial in security for both the MSP and the customer. And here's why. If I get everybody into the same platform on a password manager, we can all share passwords seamlessly. If you're in a different platform and you're in a different platform, how do I get my password to you? Text, email, Teams, Slack? Like, how's that going to work?
All the above.
So,
I
yeah,
usually just put it on Facebook and tag you on a
right. That's a good
post.
idea. I like that. So, so that's what you want to do, is you want to get your clients and your MSP into the same platform so that you can easily and safely and securely share between each other when you have to. And you want to give, the reason you want to give them a place to put their own personal passwords is because you want to turn off all of the built-in password stores,
Yep.
Chrome, Firefox, Keychain,
Every one of them. Yes.
every one of them, Edge, Opera, all of those have a password store, and they're completely terrible. And if you're not in the same platform and then you go share your secure password with them, guess where your secure password's about to end up? In Chrome, Firefox, Edge,
Everywhere.
everywhere. And then it's no longer secure. So you're spending all this time and effort to put your secure stuff in a secure password manager. Then you give it to your customer, poof, gone.
Okay. So
Right.
now with that said, let's tie this back into you, Andrew, right? When we're
Yeah,
doing
can we,
this,
can,
we're
can
talking
we
about
bring
story.
Keith? So firstly, I love what Bill said. We have a passport manager that we offer our clients in our MSP. We don't like it very much. I'm not going to say what it is, but I've just been listening to what Bill was saying, and we're going to go check out the CyberFOX password solution because we do need to make a change. But that's a technical change, and so it's it's a technical change. I think what you described is a much better product than one we currently use. All ups for that. I agree with everything you said, but I want to come back to the business issue. And if you could just bring Keith's comment back that you had on the screen a second ago,
The
because I
reporting
really
piece.
like
Yep.
it. Yeah,
Mhm.
Keith's comment here could have been taken from our website. I really love this. The reporting piece cannot be overlooked. Absolutely. We've got to go back to the customer and say, we're reporting back on the stuff that you care about. And the customer takes it for granted that we are doing these things. They take it for granted that we're giving their tickets, their backups, their XDR. They're taking it for granted we've got the licensing back, because that's actually our job. It's like the water company saying, hey, come around, I want a pat on the back because water came out of your tap and I turned it on. They don't do that. The electricity company doesn't come around and say, hey, look, when you turn on the lights, they worked, because we try and take it for granted. What we need to do is go back to the customer and talk about just that point there, the customer's business objectives and goals. And so their goals, I want to run a secure business. Why? Because I need to make sure that I am meeting my shareholder obligations, that I am achieving regulatory obligations, that I am protecting my customer data so I don't damage my brand. These are the reasons why they do it. And you know what? Next year, we're going to ask you to do something else. Bill, you're going to have some more products in your stack, and we're going to say you need to do these other things, not because we sell them, but because you need them to achieve these business goals. And as the MSP, we have to show them that we understand them, that we get their business, and we're delivering to it. So this comment is just gold. The QBR is the quarterly business review, not the operations review. And we're going back to say, here is your business objectives and goals, and this is the things that you said are important, which is automating these things, improving your profitability by decreasing your cost, or helping you bring this new product to market, or streamlining this or that.
Yep.
And here's what we're doing to achieve it. That's the goal. And that's the conversation that the customer's CEO wants to have, or their senior leadership team. That's the conversation that their board is interested in.
Sure.
The conversation about licensing and devices is an operational conversation for the line manager. That's how we do it. It's not why we do it.
But is it safe to say? Is it safe to say, Andrew?
Conversation.
Is it safe to say, Andrew? Right, when you look at Bill's product, right, CyberFOX product,
Yeah.
right, not only are you able to and solve for the MSP internal use of automating certain things like passwords, right, but also it's a now ability to go and upsell a new service offering to their end users because of this password piece. And I'm just using that as a simple example.
But because we understand why it's important to the customer, we
Yep,
have to
correct.
understand not why it's cool to us, but why it's cool to our customer. And it's cool to the customer because it's helping them achieve the things. When they sit down looking at the accounts at the end of the month, looking at their business plan, they're not putting password manager, with all respect, they're not putting password manager in their business plan. They're putting security in their business plan. They're saying, we want to be aligned with NIST, just exactly as Bill said, or whichever standard is, because we have a business requirement to do so. And our job as the MSP is to understand that. Our challenge is that that's not a conversation that comes naturally to us, because as an MSP, we want to get into what the thing is that we're doing. And it's hard for us to do the why. getKambium's unique capability is helping translate that. So let's understand the customer's objective. Now, here is our recommendation. Let's make the right recommendation that aligns with that from our stack of services. Because you want to achieve this, this is your problem. We recommend this, and this is our solutions. And by the way, when we review this next year, we're going to have 3 new things because they haven't been invented yet. CyberFOX hasn't yet invested in those things. They're coming on stream next year. So we'll be coming back next year with a bunch of new things. So, what I love in this conversation is that we are kind of focused on the why, and Bill and CyberFOX and many others in the event program are focused on the what. And they're both super important. We've got to do both of these things. But as an MSP, our opportunity is just to understand what our customers care about and show that we understand that and that we're delivering to that. Then we are their trusted advisor. Then they're going to love us and refer us to their mates, and our business is going to grow.
So I think another thing, and to sort of add on to that is, and to help you too as well, is that, a huge part of what's driving the massive boom in cybersecurity is cybersecurity insurance, right? So as things went bonkers during COVID and breaches were happening, insurance companies were shelling out money left and right. Insurance companies, they don't like that, right? You start dipping in the coffers too hard and they're like, whoa, we got to pump the brakes on this.
Absolutely.
And so now I've seen some of the most crazy cyber insurance like renewal forms where like just one page of how are you managing your administrator accounts, right? Do you have MFA, and questions all around that. Like they're getting, and if you don't complete those, and if you don't fill and plug those holes, then you're just like a regular car insurance, right? You go smash your car up a bunch of times, you're going to have really high rates, right? You keep getting breached. They're people that have been breached. Yeah, people that have been breached, like they're finding it next to impossible to get either a decent rate or the level of coverage to cover the business should something catastrophic happen that they want. And so you've got to
absolutely, man. Okay, so let's go with that. Let's run with that. Think about this. Is the new cybersecurity stack layers now where there's all the CyberFOX is offering and a bunch of other ones that are in that one layer. The next layer is compliance and governance. Right. And then the next layer is insurance. It all feeds to the insurance at the end of the day, because that's what literally they've now set the benchmarks to protect their assets for themselves. Like you said, they were dishing out money left and right. And they're like, let's stop that. Here's the new rules. Here's the new policies. And now every one of you all are creating technologies to support what's in that requirement list. Right. And the governance compliance is dictating, managing it at this point to say, yep, you guys are good.
So we've got to encourage the customer to make that investment and to understand why, because it is getting more and more expensive. And the reality is that if they're not, I agree with everything Bill said. If you don't renew your cyber insurance because you can't make the grade because you're not doing something, then you're self-insuring. And that means that rather than selling the risk to the insurer, you own the risk yourself. So you should be even more nervous as a customer. How do we have that conversation with them? What the customer sees is that the cost that we're asking for cybersecurity protection is increasing, and they're saying, what's the value to my business? Why should I continue to make that investment? Because I've also got to pay out for employee insurance. I've got to pay out for increased costs of transportation. All of my other costs are going up. Why should I be taking money out of my budget and putting it into you? And it's up to us as the MSP to point out that if they don't do that, then they've actually, that this is the right thing to prioritize on. We've got to get back to that underlying business issue. That's the challenge for the MSP, is to have that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, a breach can wipe somebody out. A breach could completely, like, you're closing the doors. And then if you don't want to worry about employee insurance and employee costs and building costs, just have a big breach, and that might just do it for you, and then you're all done. But like, and
that's true. It's essential.
Yeah,
quite right.
It's big, And the other thing too that I think is super scary is just like we had our MSP did a restore of a manufacturing company that got breached. They spent like they were able to cover it. It was like $180,000 to get back up and running, and a week's worth of lost productivity. And then I had another MSP that was part of a BEC that I think they said the total bill in the end was $500,000. Right. And so, and it's just a matter of time before insurance companies start to say, we are going to start monitoring your systems to make sure that you're actually in compliance. So today we can say we do these things and we can kind of get away with it, and we'll have to show the proof in the pudding later. But in the future, like if I would have told you 10 years ago that car insurance companies would have a device in your car that watched how you drive to give you better rates, you'd have told me I was absolutely bonkers. Like I was mad, go jump off a bridge. Now half the people have DriveWise in their car monitoring their driving habits so that they can get better insurance. We have to do it for our SOC 2 compliance. There's an agent on my computer right now monitoring to make sure that I have all the things I need to stay in compliance for our SOC 2 compliance team. Insurance is not that far behind it. And so you're going to have to do these things.
Those
Agreed.
are all business. Those are great examples of business problems. Hey, I want to have a device that wasn't invented 10 years ago in my motor vehicle to monitor my performance, to drive down my cost of insurance. I need to have this monitoring going on to make sure that I'm compliant. The requirement is compliance. Here's the solution. So, Mr. Customer, you need to be compliant. You need to reduce this cost. These are technologies that are now available to you to do it, and that's why we're recommending these to you. It's that translation layer between what you want to achieve and how you can achieve it, and that's the opportunity for an MSP. The challenge for the MSPs is they are better at the conversation about how they do something than having the why conversation, and that's where the missing opportunities. So I think this is a great conversation, because we can help with the why, Bill can help with the how. The reality is MSPs have got to do both. They've got to talk business to their customers, because their customer, if you're talking to your average customer CEO, they're not interested in technology. They don't go and buy technology because they want it. They buy technology because they have to have it. And our job is to help explore that. The only technology you buy voluntarily because you want it, frankly, is the latest Apple device. The rest of every other technology device purchase that we make is a reluctant purchase from somebody who'd rather spend the money. We started off this conversation with a chat about some hobbies.
Absolutely.
You guys were talking about cigars and humidors and scotch. I'm into the scotch. I'll leave you with the cigars, but I'll drink your scotch any day of the week. In my case, classic cars and yachts. These things are the things I'd rather spend my money on, not technology. It's a reluctant purchase. If I'm going to go out and spend money, I'm going to buy something that's fun. It ain't going to be IT.
So let's get ready. We're going to wrap this up. So I want to make sure we acknowledge a few things. One thing is, we can find both of you guys in our marketplace with ConnectWise, correct? And I saw that we put it in the chat, it's in the chat right now. But CyberFOX and getKambium are both in the marketplace. More importantly than just being in the marketplace to shop and buy them is you're both certified integrators, which is extremely important for MSPs to understand. I usually go through this in the beginning of the show, which I forgot to go through, so I'll say it right now. Certified integrators are extremely important because this gives the ability for the MSPs to vet out based off of you all going through our security checks, us doing the vetting for them. So if they know they want a password, platform of some sort, they literally can go into the marketplace and they can click on certified integrators. That way they can see the short list of who we already are trusted and certified through us. And it's a lot of work for you guys to do to go through. You jump through a lot of hoops, and you got to be very good about this. So that's important. The other side of this, we launched ASIO. Are you guys starting the conversation of the integration for ASIO yet? If not, then we better talk about that after this,
Yeah, we're aware. We're definitely, we're always updating and moving the products forward. And so, and being as close as we are, obviously, with ConnectWise, we're already well on our way to, working down the ASIO platform. So.
Absolutely. And it's extremely important to be part of this. And you guys are a huge part of the ecosystem and community also. You'll both be at Connect. So that's good. I want to make sure everybody knows that you'll be there. Do you know your booth numbers yet?
Do not know the booth number yet.
If not, it's fine. It'll be posted somewhere. Don't worry about that. Now, I have one last thing I want to talk about real quick. And because I have another live stream after this with Adam Polinsky and Sierra Pacific Group. We're going to, don't forget to register if you haven't for IT Nation Connect. It's November 8th is day one pre-day. Also that, and you can use, ITN Social 50 for $50 off on registration. So if you're not going yet, you should. If you're not going and not thinking about going, I don't know what's wrong with you. Don't be a loser. Come see us at Connect. It's an awesome show.
Dude, just look for this booth right here. You see that big fox and the little foxes around there? You come find us. You can't miss us. It's the coolest display ever.
Oh, I know. You guys do a really nice job at conferences. I see your people everywhere, and they're always really good people. They're always hustling, and I really appreciate that more so than anybody.
I think we're Guardians of the Galaxy this year. Last year we were Star Wars, but I think this year it's going to be Guardians. So it's going to be cool, man. Come
That
find
is
us.
dope. I feel like I need to be part of that. I'm gonna work on
Yeah.
that. So you need to send me some stuff on that, Bill. Now,
Yeah, man.
like I said, I have a live stream coming up in about 5 minutes, actually, with Sierra Pacific Group, and this is about this year's charity event, which I'll be sending you guys the stuff. I expect you all to be donating. That's all there is to it, because it's a great cause. But yeah, we're gonna be talking about that. So if you guys have time to check us out on his live stream, please do. It's a really cool initiative. K9s for Warriors. They will be at IT Nation Connect also. We're looking to raise $50,000. I'd like to raise a lot more than that. For every $25,000 we raise, we're able to actually save a canine, because they take them from shelters and then they train them so that way they're not being euthanized, right? So the first thing they save is the actual dog. Those dogs, once they do train them, they actually will give them to a veteran, and you're saving the veteran's life. And they have such great stories. I'm super excited about it. So there is the link right there for anybody who wants to donate. They do have a YouTube channel. All you do is look up K9s for Warriors, and you can see their video and all their videos and all their testimonials of all the veterans they've saved. It's pretty freaking dope, actually. So with that said, we are done for today. Because we could talk forever and ever. We probably should make sure we do this again sometime soon. Thank you both for being on and being great guests and being very informative and actually, giving people information they actually need as opposed to talking hyperbole. I love it. And everybody that watched and tuned in, thank you for being part of this and being part of the IT Nation family. I look forward to seeing you all at Connect, and I'll see you gentlemen later.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Absolutely.
See you, Bill. Nice to see you.
Toodles.
See you soon.
Hey, Andy. Yeah, man.
Toodles.